What product was so poorly designed that it seems its creators never used it? Gisera comes to mind. It was a $700 machine, minus the QR fog lights and Wi-Fi tail fins. Was in reality just two rollers squeezing a plastic bag of fruit juice pulp. Teardown showed a bunch of heavy-duty custom-made parts far in excess of necessary tolerances that could have just as easily been ordered off the shelf at standard quality. The whole $120 million company went bankrupt because a couple of people made YouTube videos showing you could just as easily squeeze juice out of the bag with your hands. I worked in a corporate office, and they invented phones that were basically invisible cordless earplug things. No one could tell you were on the phone. All the directors of the company wanted them. They lasted a week because no one could tell they were on the phone. Staff constantly interrupted their client phone calls, or they just looked crazy talking to themselves. Same with Google Glasses. Other humans need visual cues to know what you're doing. Not a product design flaw here, but application instruction error. I wear a patch. Hormone replacement. Instructions say put it on your thigh. Okay. But on thigh. Every time I go to the bathroom I pull my pants down and then back up. Before too long the patch comes off. I've been wearing patch on my upper arm since. It occurred to me, you know who doesn't have to pull their pants down every trip to the bathroom? Men. A man wrote those instructions. Comic Sans, the creator literally only used it once. Also are J45 connectors with a little half dome over the little clip. I know it serves a purpose, but it makes disconnecting the cable way harder than it needs to be. Able's have this half dome, and it sits flush with the IO shield. Maybe enough room to get a bit of fishing line in the gap to press that damn clip if I want to disconnect the cable for whatever reason. Those crappy fuel cans with the safety push top. You can't pour without getting gasoline all over your hands or having to cut it off and use a plug. The people that designed it are definitely using the more expensive metal ones with flip lids. Best thing I've ever heard though was from an engineer was that whoever approved this thing should be fired. And whoever designed this should be shot. The Reddit app. It's total garbage and yesterday's update has just made it worse. You now can't click on an article without going through the comment section first. Other problems include wiping the galleries of pics and then being taken to the next post. It wouldn't be so bad if they hadn't have burnt all the third-party apps that did actually work. 2 things, my Lenovo laptop and a curling wand whose brand I don't know. A really inconvenient place, and I often accidentally turn them off or using them because they place the power button in an area where my hand fingers have to be in order to use or move each device. I once had to buy an engine mount for an older Cadillac I owned years ago. GM no longer made the part, so the replacement was by a third-party company. None of the bolt holes lined up. Everyone was at least a ½ inch off. You can't tell me that they even looked at the original part next to the aftermarket part. Showers where the head is way too low, and there's only room to place like 1 or 2 products. Toilets that you can't sit on without your dick touching the inside of the bowl. Faucets that don't extend far enough above the basin to properly wash your hands. Basically the entire bathroom in my apartment. Some dude made a George Foreman-ish grill some years back that would combine meats for you like some sort of meat machine, but it would spit grease at you when you used it. Terrible. But I heard they still sell it in Europe after Whoopi bought the rights. Wonder what happened to that GUI. I have a Google Pixel 8, and on a whole I love it, except it can only connect to one Bluetooth headphone at a time. One singular headphone. Not one set. It's apparently a known issue, and there is no fix. I'm utterly baffled that it made it to market without being able to handle headphones. Like every point of sale system ever created. Just about any internal software tool that gets pushed down to the plebs on the front line. Policies and procedures conjured up by the operations team in the C-suite with zero input from mid-level managers and ground-level employees. Food and other packaging where there's a little tab that taunts you with tear or peel here. We all know those damn things never work. A tiny piece of the package rips off, and you have to resort to the usual scissors or knife to open the stupid thing. Anything with those peel-off covers underneath a screw-on lid. They don't peel. They have those tiny little tabs like you should be able to peel them off. But they never work. You'll just end up using a knife or jabbing your finger through it. My parents' shower has these on-off and temperature knobs that are completely smooth, making them impossible to use when you have wet hands, and difficult to use even when dry. Every time I use their shower, I curse those knobs out loud. Every baby product, the cleaning instructions always state to wipe with damp cloth. Don't these people know how disgusting children are? My kid pukes, throws food, flings snot, and I should just wipe with a damp cloth. To this day, I can't open a Kraft mac and cheese box along the perforations and end up just ripping the top off instead. I almost feel like they just drew them on to fuck with us instead of making actual perforations. The house I moved into had an apparently decent oven. There are so many nooks and divots and crannies in it that are impossible to clean. As my mother would have said, this was designed by a man who never cleaned. Ellen's electric big rig. There's all kinds of videos of actual truck drivers pointing out the huge issues with it, making it obvious they never actually consulted truck drivers before designing the whole thing. Almost all products aimed at consumers, the mass market, are literally garbage meant to be thrown away. They are not usable or utilitarian. You are paying to throw something away. Any Scott's fertilizer spreader. They are the cheapest pieces of shit imaginable. There are so many complaints about them, and the company knows, but doesn't give any shits whatsoever. Indeed, job recruiting software. Just being able to see how much you're spending on recruiting is a joke. Clearly, they didn't have any usability people on their software team. 6-inch tall burgers that need a skewer to pin the stack together. Your options are a hydraulic press to get them down to a suitable height, or unhinge your lower jaw. Restaurant websites that won't let you peruse the menu without starting an online order. I just want to look at what you have before I waste my money at your business. For those of us who are Army vets, miles equipment. The vest will seemingly choke you to death before the enemy opposing force can inflict your simulated death. Whose dumbest idea was it to make our breathing tube and eating tube to be the same tube? Also making our sex tube also be our excreta elimination tube. QuickBooks software. Its manufacturing package is so poorly designed that it's clear that nobody at that company has any manufacturing experience. I don't know about ever using it, but I hear the inventor of K-Cups admits it's the worst thing he ever did for humanity and hates himself for that. You should not be allowed to market a toilet or toilet seat without a publicly available video of the CEO of the company cleaning one themselves. QuickBooks Online, we put a man on the goddamn moon, and the developers could not seem to figure out how to make it somewhat the same as desktop. I think most people who design parking garages hate cars and wish they would go away and leave their pristine parking garages alone. Dungeon Siege 3. Ranged attacks come from off the screen because the max range of the camera is about 1 to what you need to play. Flat TVs. How the hell are all the connections on the back without a way to expose them after bolting it to the wall? Whoever thought touchscreens in newer cars were a good idea? I doubt any of these designers even have driver's licenses. I think Windows Server, even Microsoft, still use Linux on its servers for the longest time. IDK if this is still true. That juice maker that actually just squeezed pre-prepared packages, which could be squeezed more effectively by hand. TP and paper towel perforations. Sometimes it's as if the part where it's supposed to rip is the strongest part. Orbit gum. WTF is up with the individually wrapped pieces and getting tearing shredding them out of the holder. Brass and other products for people with breasts with removable cups. Why do they make those? No one likes them. Considering they mandated return to office, I guess soon doesn't have much faith in their own product. Literally any website that has an app. Whoever runs the mobile internet needs a kick in the teeth. Any retail or restaurant POS system. Heck, pretty much any specialized software for that matter. Life, though I'm not sure if it's a product or a service. Either way, dude ain't ever been here. Microsoft Teams. its creators can't possibly have used it because it's so colossally fucked. Wrapping paper and baking paper always has the grain running lengthways instead of across. A mixed pack of shake and bake where all the envelopes inside the box are completely blank. Any kind of trash can that requires you to touch the nasty-ass lid to throw anything away. Cartridge razors, expensive, fuck up your skin. No clean cut and produce a ton of waste. Any and all digicrap IT. It's inhumane life before all this garbage was far better. I don't want to cut my wall. I want accessible ports on the sides or even a front USB. I'm convinced whoever designed Outlook has never had to send an email in their life. Linux. I use it due to privacy issues with Windows, but it has a huge number of bugs. Oravet gel applicators don't work great, and they only have one job on this earth. I mean, the cornballer comes to mind. Those things are nothing but a fire hazard. Microsoft bob a complete step back from Windows to a stupid childish interface. To Boeing engineers who confessed they'd never fly on one of their own planes. Not a product. But I use the phrase bad parking lot design on a daily basis. Well, the Cybertruck seems to be a new entry in the shit design category. I'd say roughly a sixth of everything I've ever used, going back 40 years. Apple mouse. Poor ergonomics and quintessentially poor charging position. TVS with only 1 or 2 HDMI ports, especially larger and higher-end TVS. Apple HomeKit. It can be so spectacularly bad. And Siri. Fuck Siri. Those gas cans designed with safety features to prevent spills. Ooh. Any mobile website that does not allow me to zoom in. WTF people.